As the title says, I beat Pokemon White without using any items. And before you say, well that's easy, anybody can do that, I just want to specify that I wasn't able to catch team members or even heal outside of Pokemon centers. I couldn't ward off Pokemon with repels, I couldn't do anything. I did allow myself to use key items and HMs since they are required to beat the game, or so I thought, but I'll get back to that later. I also wasn't allowed to catch the quote-unquote legendary Pokemon, but I'll also get to that later. Let's just get on with the video. So starting this challenge off, I had to pick Oshawott as it gets access to almost all HMs later on, which I'll obviously need if I want to beat this challenge. I also had to make sure to get a female Oshawott, but that wasn't hard since I got an adamant female on the first try. Making sure Oshawott is female will be important later on. After I got my starter, I progressed as normal and I reached Accumula Town. I listened to Team Plasma ramble for a bit and then challenged In. In wasn't much of a challenge, but so far the game is pretty much like a normal playthrough. Since I'm not allowed to use any items in this run, I decided to sell all the items I had to get a little more money. I'll definitely be needing the money, but again, I'll get to that later. Once I was done in Accumula Town, my mom calls me just to say that she's hanging up, but she was just behind me and I finally got the running shoes. Progressing through the next route made me realize how often I'm going to have to turn around and heal up at the closest Pokemon Center. I was having to heal after almost every trainer battle. Potions would have been nice to have. I eventually made it to Striation City and went straight to the Dream Yard. At first I was pretty excited because in the Dream Yard there is an NPC who will give you either a Pansage, Pansear, or Panpour depending on your starter. Since I chose Oshawott, I had a Pansear. Upon obtaining Pansear, one of my viewers mentioned that I could evolve my new Pansear, which made me realize something terrible.
I can evolve the fire monkey. How do I know I need a firestone. I can't evolve the fire monkey. No, I didn't think about that. Shoot. No. Oh crap, we're gonna have a Simisear the whole time. Give a nickname to Pansear you received. Trash.
After getting trashed the Pansear, I needed to go to the trainer school before I could take on the first gym. Inside the trainer school, I defeated Sharon and then headed to the gym.
No, no, no. You wanna know what I just did? I'll show you. So, you know, I went to hit up to go into the gym, but my big fat thumb pressed the power button. So, we gotta do trainer school again.
Luckily, the last save was right before I obtained Pansear, so all I had to do was rebattle Sharon and then I went and sold any items I had. I had no trouble taking on this gym, and Trash the Pansear actually did great against the gym leader, and I obtained my first badge. Next, all I had to do was help Fennel obtain some Dream Mist, which I obtained after stopping Team Plasma Grumps from bullying a Munna. Once I helped Fennel, I was free to progress. Next, all I had to do was battle Sharon again, and then help a little girl get her Pokemon back from Team Plasma. And in the process, Oshawott evolved into a Duat. Once all that was done, I once again progressed as normal, with some extra stops to heal up. Once I was in Nacrane City, I was able to challenge Lenora right away. The trainers in her gym were pretty easy to beat, but Lenora, yeah, she just demolished me. I decided to train a little on the previous route, and then I challenged Lenora again. She got the broom and swept me under the rug. I was not strong enough to win at the moment, without using items. I decided to explore the area right before Pinwheel Forest, and I found several trainers. Duat gained a couple levels, and I felt confident I could beat her this time. Of course, I lost yet again, but I felt like I could win. The next rematch, I decided to move Trash the Pansear out front so that Herdier would take more damage from takedown. Pansear fainted to just one takedown, and Herdier took its recoil damage. Duat finished the Herdier with relative ease, and next was Watchog. Duat was able to outspeed this time and dealt a lot of damage with Razor Shell. Watchog missed its hypnosis, and I was finally able to win with another Razor Shell. Finally, I won against Lenora and earned the basic badge. After the gym battle, Team Plasma showed up yet again and were up to their annoying shenanigans. Berg showed up and we went to Pinwheel Forest to retrieve the Dragon Skull that Team Plasma had stolen. Once in the forest, Berg let a child do all the work and I retrieved the skull. Once all that was done, I headed to Castelia City. Now in Castelia City, I knew that there was a Pokemon that I could obtain here. It's a Zorua that you can get by transferring an Event Celebi from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I had an Event Celebi on my Heart Gold version, so I transferred it over, talked to the NPC to activate the event, and Zorua joined the party. All that was left to do in Castelia was to defeat Berg and obtain the third badge. Or so I thought. When I tried to enter the gym, Berg ran out because he hears that Team Plasma were up to no good. I swear, I never realized how annoying Team Plasma is. They have been at it from the start of the game, spouting nonsense and causing trouble. Yeah, let's get everyone on our side by terrorizing everybody and stealing their beloved Pokemon. Yeah, sounds like a great strategy to take over Unova. Team Plasma. Sorry, I don't really like Team Plasma. Anyways, after defeating Team Plasma again, I took on the third gym. Like the second gym, the trainers weren't a problem at all. Berg was a little more difficult though because of his Levani, which countered Duat. I was able to win though on the third try after leading with Zorua and using Fake Tears to lower Whirlipede's special defense, then using Pansear to finish it off. Berg sent out Dwebble next, which Duat one-shot. Next was Levani. I decided to stay in with Duat to deal as much damage as possible so that Pansear could take out Levani. Now with the third badge in hand, I was able to head to the desert resort to look for the plume fossil. On my way there, Bianca stopped me and wanted to have a battle. What is with your friends wanting to have battles in random indoor locations in this game? Sharon also wanted a battle, but at least it was outside this time. Once I obtained a plume fossil, I ran all the way back to the second gym so that I could revive the fossil into an Arcan. After reviving Arcan, I went back to the desert resort to battle the trainers that I had skipped over. I needed all the experience I could get to prepare for the next gym. Can you guess what happens upon entering Nimbasa's city? Go on, I'll give you a minute. That's right, freaking Team Plasma. I dealt with them again, saving the daycare man from their harassment. He rewarded me with a bike, which is a key item, so I allowed myself to use it. The bike is not necessary, but it makes progressing faster. I headed over to the amusement park and was greeted by N. We bonded over a Ferris wheel ride, and then we had a nice little battle. After the battle, he invaded my personal space to tell me that he was going to become champion, and if I wanted to stop him, I had to collect all 8 badges, then challenge the league. After talking to N, I headed over to the 4th gym. I've been worried about taking on this gym since the start of this challenge. If this was a normal playthrough, Elisa wouldn't be that bad. But I'm not allowed to use Pokeball, so I can't catch a ground type to make this easier. So I had to take on the gym with half my team being weak to electric. The gym trainers gave me a little trouble, but nothing I couldn't get past. Once I got to Elisa, I went into the battle expecting to lose. And I did. 3 times. I decided to take a break from trying to beat Elisa and train up my team. I met up with Bianca so I could dress up my Pokemon, and then ended up getting involved in Bianca's family issues. Once I was able to get to Route 5, I decided to level up Zorua. Zorua was pretty close to evolving already, and I also remembered that he gets Night Slash when it evolves, which would be a lot of help against Elisa. Zorua soon evolved into Zoroark and was much stronger now. I headed back to the gym and felt confident with my Zoroark. I was going to win. At least that's what I thought. I lost 3 more times because Zoroark kept getting affected by static. On the 7th attempt, I decided to let my weaker Pokemon deal as much damage as possible to Elisa's Pokemon so that Zoroark could finish off her weakened Pokemon. This strategy actually worked and I obtained the Bolt badge. After the battle, Elisa told us to meet her at the drawbridge on the next route so that we could advance to Driftvale City. Once in Driftvale City, I was greeted with Clay being upset with us because we allowed Team Plasma to cross the bridge and now it was our job to catch them. You should know how this goes by now. I completed the Team Plasma stuff and was able to challenge the 5th gym. The gym was no trouble at all for Duat since it had revenge and took out Clay's Excadrill with ease, and I obtained the 5th badge. Next, I needed to make my way through Chargestone Cave before I could reach the next town. I completely forgot this cave existed, and after going through it again for the first time in a long time, I understand why I blocked any memory of it. I could barely move in this cave before I ran into a wild Pokemon. Repels would have been amazing in here, but thanks to all the encounters, Duat evolved into a Samurott. Anyways, after several trainer battles and many wild encounters, I made it to the end. But my Pokemon were so worn out that I couldn't have even beaten a Plasma Grunt if I were to battle. Luckily in these games, the doctor and nurse trainers will heal your Pokemon after you defeat them in battle. There was a doctor trainer near the end, so I was able to heal up without having to run all the way back to the previous Pokemon Center. I battled in at the end of the cave, but he wasn't much of a challenge and I was able to get to Miss Stralton City. The next gym leader is Skyla, but before I could challenge her gym, she ran off because she saw an injured Pokemon on the top of Celestial Tower. I'm not really sure why I had to follow her. I mean, she has a freaking plane that we could have rode in, but whatever. I started making my way to the tower on foot. There was a lot of grass on this route, and seeing it all really made me glad that I haven't encountered a shiny. I mean, the chances of finding a shiny are 1 in 8,192 in these games, so I doubt I'll find a...
Got rid of the... No! 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 Alright, we gotta do it. Bye-bye, dearling. You will never be forgotten. I hate it. I hate that I did it. No!
So after all that happened, I decided to train up Arcan so that I could get any Archeops before the gym. Anyway, I eventually made it to the top of the tower. Skyla resurrected a dead Pokemon and there was no reason for me to have climbed the tower. But I got to ring a bell, so I guess that was cool. Now I can challenge Skyla. But there's really not much to say about this gym since Archeops decimated everything. And that's the 6th gym badge. Just 2 more to go. On my way to Twist Mountain, I was stopped by Sharon and had to have a battle with him. After the battle, Alder with the strongest knees in the world jumped off a cliff and gave me Surf. Now that I have Surf, I can backtrack to obtain a new team member. I flew back to New Vema Town and surfed on the route above. I progressed the route and obtained an egg. Inside the egg was Larvesta. I was actually really excited about this team member, but after looking up when it evolves, I wasn't so excited anymore. Larvesta evolves at level 59, so I guess it's staying a Larvesta. Next, I made my way through Twist Mountain, which wasn't too difficult with the doctor trainers being able to heal my party. I also ran into N, but he hasn't been much of a challenge so far. I arrived in Icarus City and challenged the gym. Thanks to Samurott having a fighting type move and Archeops having a rock type move, the gym wasn't much of an issue, and I received the 7th badge from Bryson. Next was to take care of some stuff inside of Dragon Spiral Tower. Inside Dragon Spiral Tower was a strength rock. I wasn't even sure what strength was, so I looked it up. Upon doing some research about HMs in this game, I found out that the only required HM in the whole game is Cut, and the only required use for Cut is in the Dream Yard in the beginning of the game. After finding out this information, I was pretty discouraged. I felt like I had ruined the run because I used HMs that weren't even required. I eventually decided it was fine because HMs are really for convenience. I was already using Fly so that I wouldn't waste time running everywhere. I also used Surf to get the Larvesta egg, and now I use Strength just for a shortcut. Once I reached the top of Dragon Spiral Tower, N was taking control of Reshiram. Then he flew off to take on the Pokemon League to become champion. Next, I needed to go on a scavenger hunt for the Darkstone, which was under our noses the whole time. Now I was free to make my way to Opelucid City. Once there, I had to learn about the legendary dragon Pokemon before I could challenge the gym. Thanks to Archeops, I was able to defeat Iris with ease, and I obtained the last gym badge. Next, I made my way through Victory Road and arrived at the Elite Four. The Elite Four demolished me, but after 2 more tries, I figured out what Pokemon I needed for which Elite Four members, and I was able to win. Now I needed to take on N, but before I could do that, I had to catch the legendary Pokemon. But this is a no items challenge. I guess it's impossible after all. I guess I lost. Nah, I'm just kidding. So I intentionally didn't tell you the most important part. I wanted you to think it was impossible, but it's actually not. So if you're interested in obscure Pokemon facts, you may know that these quote-unquote required legendaries can actually be skipped by having no room in your party or PC. But how can I fill my party and PC if I'm not allowed to use any items? Well, before I actually took on the Elite Four, I flew back to the daycare. Remember in the beginning when I said it was important that Oshawott was female? If you know anything about Pokemon breeding, you should know that 2 different species of Pokemon can breed as long as they're in the same egg group. Oshawott's evolution line belongs in the field egg group, and so does Pansear, Zorua, and Zoroark. So I put my Samurott and Zoroark in the daycare so I could fill my PC and party with eggs. This was taking way too long, and it turns out that the 2 didn't really like each other. I tried to see if Pansear would have been any better, and it was not. So I decided to hatch 1 egg to get a baby Oshawott. I flew back to Victory Road and switch trained it so it could become a Samurott. I deposited my 2 Samurotts into the daycare, and the eggs were coming in so fast now. I decided to do this part off stream because let's face it, no one wants to watch me fill 24 boxes with eggs. After weeks of grinding eggs, I finally had done it. I had no room for Zekrom to join the party. I took my 2 Samurotts out of the daycare and checked them out. My starter Samurott had grown to level 80, and the other Samurott was not far behind at level 77. Thanks to these 2 over-leveled Samurott, I was able to get through the Elite Four. Now it was time for Zekrom. I was a little scared of this battle because of the type disadvantage, but for some reason Zekrom didn't go for Fusion Bolt on the first turn. I was able to challenge N right after without having the legendary dragon on my team. N was pretty easy to defeat, and right after I had to take on Ghetsis. Archeops learned Dragon Claw right before Ghetsis sent out Hydreigon, so he wasn't much of a challenge either. This was such a relief to finish. Obtaining all those eggs took so long, and I was so happy to be done. Even though I messed up with the HMs, I still beat Pokemon White without using any consumable items. And I am never doing this challenge again. I had a lot of fun making this video and would like to do more challenges. If you're interested, please comment some challenge runs you would like to see. Also consider liking and subscribing if you like this video. Thank you so much if you made it this far, and I hope to see you again later.